Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got it. We got
New 52 booklet.
it. Somebody clip this.
Welcome to Under Two Capes. I am Jared, and I'm here with the boys. I got the Feed Express and Taladia. What's up, gentlemen?
What can
What
I
is
say?
up?
What is up? I've had a glorious day because it's a special day for me.
Oh yeah, it's Taladia's special B day.
Happy birthday,
So
Claudia.
happy birthday, Taladia. In that case, you know what? I'm gonna give you, because it's your special day, I'll give you this. So,
Yeah.
at Taladia's suggestion, by the way, for this week's podcast episode, so shout out to him. We are going to be talking about, in general, Zack Snyder's influence on the DC brand and what he brought to it. Because, like him or not, because I know people are going to try and downplay it, in terms of like modern DC, he had like a massive impact on these characters.
Massive.
Massive, yes, exactly. So to summarize, let's start by talking about what DC looked like before Snyder. Particularly with Superman, and I just got out of an argument about this. Superman has always been iconic. I'm not disputing that at all, because you objectively can't dispute that.
When you think of superheroes, literally the first character that everyone thinks about is Superman. Superman is like the quote unquote generic superhero model.
Yes, 100%. What I always say is that you can still be iconic and irrelevant, because the general audience saw Superman as just like, okay, yeah, true justice in the American way. Okay, Boy Scout, put your underwear back on the inside of your pants.
Yeah, everyone knows who Superman is. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal has a Superman tattoo. You don't get more iconic than that. But like everyone knows who Superman is. But like you ask them to read a comic, they're like, what?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like and this is my problem with the Superman fan base, or no. Well, let me be clear. Not the whole fan base, the radical side of the fan base. I'm doing what anti-Snyder fans don't do. But anyway,
wait, you're actually being a decent person?
Yes, thank you. My point is, they think too much as Superman fan. They put their fan blinders on and only operate through that. They're like, no, Superman's always been this amazing character. He did this, and he did this. And I'm like, not according to the general audience. The general audience doesn't know. The general audience won't pick up Superman comics because they think the character is lame.
I mean, honestly, to be fair, you could say this about literally any other like geek fandom currently. True. That like we put our fandom, like honestly, that might be a greater topic for another episode. But yeah,
true. And so the thing is that come in Zack Snyder. What did Zack Snyder do? You know what?
Lots and lots of slow-mo.
Well, true. Taladia.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go around the panel, and then we're all going to talk about what we think Snyder like added to Superman. We'll start with Superman and then go to the general DC like pantheon, because that's the way he started. But I'll start with Taladia. So Taladia, what do you think Snyder brought to Superman?
Oh, he brought like the heart of Superman to the forefront of it. Like you felt for Superman, because like over the course of the 3 films that Zack did, right? You felt like his birth.
Oh, he's putting on the hoodie.
Yes, I have to put on my hoodie. Plus, it's cold in my office right now, so I kind of have to. I always have a hoodie. It's like I'm like Batman. I'm always prepared to be warm.
So as I was saying,
you're saying you had prep time.
Yes, I always have prep time. Thank you, Nick. So go on, Taladia.
As I was saying, like you felt for Superman through the course of each film. The Man of Steel, the loss of his birth parents, the explosion of Krypton.
Discovering you're the last of your kind.
Yeah. The second film was him dying and his relationship with Lois and how much that, and his relationship with Earth. Like, do people like him? People hate him? There's confliction there.
And by the way, you mentioned,
arc.
you said the L word.
Why did you say that, Nick?
Well, it's Zack. Put it in.
I know. I had to. That was set up so well. But
then in
the only L word you should use is that Superman loves Wonder Woman.
Thank you, Nick. That's actually very well done.
That's very well done. Yes.
Golf clap.
But in the third film,
you
get to see his redemption arc.
Yeah.
And his, and his best friend Batman trusting him even more than he did in the second film.
Yeah, exactly. See, the thing about it, what Snyder did, and I think this is the general theme of what you brought up. He basically, because what Snyder has said, what he tried to do with these characters, because they can be kind of hard to approach for like the general audience. So what he did, he broke them down to their very core. Yes, he deconstructed the heroes, but here's what he did that like certain creatives, Tom King, don't do. He built them up afterwards. He didn't leave them broken. So he broke it down to the fundamental core so you could understand at his core, here's who Superman is. So everyone's like, okay, I like this. Now I can overlook the other stuff, and then built him back up.
Wait. So you're saying that he isn't Garth Ennis?
Well, here's the difference between Zack Snyder and Garth Ennis. Zack Snyder actually likes superheroes. There's a big difference there. All you have to do is read the Boys comic, not even the show, the comic, and you can tell Garth is not a superhero fan.
Yeah, like that's kind of the problem with like a lot of comic creators. Like I love Frank Miller, but like he also kind of has this problem where it's like he breaks them down. He doesn't really do building them back up, and Alan Moore is the same way.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Now, Nick, your turn. Starting at Superman, what do you think Zack brought to Superman?
I think what Zack did is he kind of like balanced the tightrope of modernizing Superman, which I know that like, modern audience is kind of a dirty word nowadays, but that's essentially what Zack did back in 2013 when Man of Steel came out. Is he modernized Superman in a way that was fresh, but still was Superman. It still harkened back. And I know there are people who say Man of Steel isn't Superman, but grow up.
Well, actually, here's how I know it is. It has the official DC logo. So as far as I'm concerned, DC's opinion on who Superman is and what Superman is matters more than whatever someone on Twitter says.
Amen, brother. Amen. But yeah, like I feel like Zack Snyder really did that kind of the tightrope of because there is a Superman, like the fact that like the S for hope, that is I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, a Zack Snyder invention, like that, like the S stands for hope.
I want to say yes, partly because I'm a Zack Snyder fan, but also because he took it from
like the suit.
I think
wasn't scripted. Scripted. Remember?
Yeah. And now that you think about it, I think it was a comics thing, but that also shows what Zack was able to do.
To include it. The fact that he chose to include it.
And here's the thing, because a lot of people say that Zack does not read comics, but here's the problem with that argument. When you watch his movies,
pull up the Instagram account.
Yeah, there's way too many like niche references that no one that has a surface level understanding of these characters would understand. Only someone.
Isn't there like an Instagram account that literally chronicles it?
Yeah, it's a fantastic account. I'll put up in a second, but it's
that's what I was gonna ask.
That's the thing. It's like the minute he makes KG Beast a villain in the Batman movie, I'm like, okay, because KG Beast is not like he's no Joker, he's no Bane. No, he's like a low B tier, I would say.
And it's like every time people say like, "Oh, Man of Steel," it's like a dark and dreary movie. It's like,
no.
Have you seen the movie? Like, I can understand saying like, "Oh, BVS is dark." Like, oh, okay, I can
because
understand
it's a Batman
that.
movie.
Like, you can make the argument. I don't necessarily agree with it, but BVS is a fair argument. Man of Steel, like there's so much hope in that movie. Like I'm sorry, but when he smiles and when he's flying, or like, there's like honestly, one of my favorite moments in any Snyder film is when Batman rescues Martha. It's like, "Hi, I'm a friend of your son's." I know. I figured by the cape, like that is one of my favorite moments.
My favorite is when Superman is fighting the World Engine, and he's like he has the weight of a world literally on his shoulders, and he still like rises up and like goes through. And because I like to think that the reason why Zack also kept cutting to Metropolis, when you like see like Perry trying to help Jenny out of the rubble, and like she's screaming, I had to think that's actually Superman's hearing her scream, and that gave him the motivation to fly up. And I'm like, yeah, this is pretty solid. That got me right here.
Yeah, Go
ahead.
Jared. Yeah, like. I don't want this to be like let's defend. I don't want this to be let's defend the Zack Snyder thing. We're kind of talking about something different, but like, I don't know. Just like, I feel like he pushed Superman forward at least 30 years, because before Man of Steel, we were still stuck in the Reeves mindset. Now, granted, there are still people still stuck in the Reeves mindset, chief among them James Gunn, but I feel like Zack Snyder pushed forward the mainstream audience's perception of Superman 30 years with one movie.
Yeah, he did, because here's I will never forget so many people I see on the internet or like on YouTube, and whenever people like react to Man of Steel, they're like, I get it now. And that was me, because I was more of a Batman fan at first, and I thought Superman was super lame, pun intended. And then when you see Man of Steel, and I'm like, I get it now. This is why people like this character so much.
Say what you will about BVS. Like, I can understand there are legit criticisms you can make about BVS.
Like, it's crammed. That's the one where I'm like, yeah, I'll give you that.
Like the Martha scene, me and Jared have our disagreements, but I personally agree with people on that one. With Man of Steel, there's really only one. Like, everyone harps on the tornado scene, which or the I don't know scene. That one I will. I don't know scene I'll defend. But the tornado.
See, the I don't know scene. It's not so much like people don't agree with it. It's just people don't actually watch the entire scene.
Yeah, because like people like they just take that one line, and like and it's like they think, oh, he's okay with children dying. No, it's just he legitimately doesn't know.
Yeah, like, he's telling Clark, I don't have the answers. You're gonna have to figure this out yourself, brother.
Let's be honest. If you were like, put yourself in Jonathan Kent's shoes, that would be your response. Like,
and by the way, Golden Age Jonathan Kent told Superman, you got those exact words practically. He was like, you got to be careful, and when you use you can't be so brazen using your powers.
Now, as far as the tornado scene, I do feel like it
could have been done better, is what I will say. That's my point of compromise.
Yeah, the tornado scene is the one scene where I will give it to the critics. They're like, yeah, that is very contrived. But other than that, it's like 1.5 scenes. 0.5 being the I don't know scene, because that one I defend. But like the tornado scene is the one legitimate gripe. But otherwise, the movie, like, it's like you said, Jared, anyone who goes watch the movies, like how many times have we seen MCU fans go and watch Man of Steel? Like, and you know what? I dare you to compare the CG of Man of Steel, a movie that came out
to anything that has come out afterwards.
Like compare the CGI of Man of Steel 2013 to Thor: Love and Thunder. You know,
I'm falling off my chair. That's funny.
I guarantee you, if people didn't know that Man of like they would tell you Man of Steel, like, oh, did this just come out in theaters? Man of Steel looks probably 5 years ahead of movies that
years ago.
Okay, Man of Steel, a movie that came out literally 10 years ago, looks about 5 years ahead of any Marvel movie that's coming out. Like, against Dune, it does look dated.
Nick, but I'm gonna blow your mind. Are you ready? Remember the Flash going back in time scene from Zack Snyder's Justice League?
Yeah.
When he came back to do the Snyderverse, that was just previs stuff. So all of that was done in 6 months under COVID.
Tony Stark built this robot in a cave with a box of scraps. Sorry,
that's the thing. And you know what? Every single time I'm on a panel, this is where I can agree. People agree with me. I say what you want about Zack Snyder, his like characterization of these characters. Visually, they look stunning.
I mean, yeah, that's the one thing that even the haters, even the hardest core Zack, like they'll say, yeah, his movies look amazing, but his stories are often kind of like even his haters, even like his most ardent critics admit, yeah, his movies look good. And I think if you're gonna have a critique against Zack Snyder, yes, his stories sometimes do get a bit undercooked, but his visuals are always top class. Yeah. Snyder will go down as one like a visual. You know,
my criticism of Snyder is just that. Are you ready? Here's my one criticism: is that he has trouble telling a complete story in 2.5 hours,
or even like when you do give him. Snyder is one of those people who benefits from other creators, like either a really good screenwriter, or a really good producer, like a Christopher Nolan. Like, because here's the thing, Christopher Nolan can't watch his back at all times. You know, like I'd say one of the reasons why Man of Steel works as well as it does is because Christopher Nolan produced it.
Well, Christopher Nolan, I believe, produced all of the Zack Snyder DC movies.
But he was only really directly involved with Man of Steel.
Fair enough. In fact, what people don't realize did you guys know that Zack was only brought on after like the script and everything was done. It was Nolan that said, "Hey, I know this guy. You would do great with this."
Yeah, and like I just feel like imagine if because like how Warner Brothers, they really want to woo back Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Imagine if he said, "Hey, I'd love to do this, but can we bring the band back together? Like, I want to co-direct a movie where it's going to be me and Zack Snyder are co-directing a movie."
Talk about dream team. So here's what I was looking for.
Like, imagine them co-directing a movie.
Hey, Nick, speaking of Zack doing comic book references, so one of the criticisms of Man of Steel was the whole Zod neck snap, right? Here's the scene from the comics where Superman kills Zod by snapping his freaking neck.
He's killed them more than once, I believe. Actually.
More than once.
It's
kind of funny. I blew someone's mind because on their stream I brought up, he killed them in Superman 2, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Leave Superman killed. I'm sorry.
In a very stupid manner, but yes.
In a very stupid manner. And wait, he smiled when he did it.
And he crushed his hand.
No, not only that's a lot of he crushed his hand and then punched him against a wall. He drained them of their power, so they're essentially humans. Crushed Zod's hand and punched him across the way into a crystal wall. He's dead.
And when they say Zack Snyder goes over the top.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my other problem with a lot of the criticism he gets, and then we'll transition to what Zack did for the entire DC universe. But my problem with it is that people critiqued him for stuff that other creatives have done, or like creative choices like other creators have explored that they like. That's my issue. And I'm like, this tells me it's purely because it's Zack Snyder doing it and not because of the creative choice itself.
Yeah.
That's why. But anyway, so now we're going to transition to the overall DC, because Zack did not just work on Superman. He worked on all the characters. And I'm going to start by saying Wonder Woman was always iconic. Let me be clear on that. I don't think she was as big as she was after he introduced her.
Wonder Woman
and the movie
Wonder Woman was more of a victim to the everyone knows but nobody cares kind of scenario.
Yes.
Than Superman, because yeah, everyone knew Wonder Woman, mostly in the context of the Linda Carter show, or the cartoon. But like, I'd say Wonder Woman, the Gal Gadot version, which Zack Snyder directly had a hand in.
Yeah.
It is Patty Jenkins' movie, but Zack Snyder had a hand in it.
The first movie was heavily influenced by Zack. In fact, Zack picked the screenwriter, by the way.
I mean, Zack Snyder was on set a lot for the Wonder Woman movie. So.
And he was on set. That's true. But it also came out that he even selected the screenwriter. He offered him the role and said, hey, do you want to write this Wonder Woman movie?
So while Wonder Woman is a Patty Jenkins movie, I'm not trying to take that away from her. This is also a Zack Snyder movie to a lesser degree.
To a lesser degree, but still consistent with the characterization of Wonder Woman that Zack had.
Right. I just don't want to take like erase Patty Jenkins from the conversation.
Absolutely. It's just in terms of Wonder Woman, again, and to reiterate the point, he made it. That's what Zack did. He made all these characters large, except for Batman, because Batman was always popular. I'm not going to say he made Batman more popular, although he did create one of the most popular versions of Batman. Like the Affleck version went from everyone's like, why is Ben Affleck playing Batman, to when the movie comes out, they're like, okay, this is the best part of BVS.
Also, like in terms of the Wonder Woman conversation, Snyder did pick Gal Gadot. He could cast her.
There is no, and I always tell people, all these versions of these characters you like Jason Momoa, Aquaman, there's no way a studio would have picked Jason Momoa.
Zack made Aquaman cool. That
alone. Because here's the thing.
Alone. Like, you want to talk about jokes?
Yes.
Aquaman has been a freaking joke for decades.
And here's the thing. I saw a meme. Granted, this was around the time that BVS came out and a certain non-existent cut of Justice League that said 2016, 2017, the years that Aquaman jokes died, because Aquaman is one of the biggest badasses in the DCU.
You could, like, literally, he rides a seahorse in the movie and nobody bats an eye.
No, it looked cool when Momoa did it, because he's got his hair flying in the background. He's got the trench. He's got the trident.
But yeah, so yeah, that's definitely something we could lay at Zack's feet is making Aquaman cool. But like, getting back to Wonder Woman, like, Zack basically put Wonder Woman in the mainstream, because before Wonder Woman came out, hardly anyone talked about Wonder Woman outside of like, oh yeah, she exists. But now you have actual like tons of people who are Wonder Woman fans. Like, it really brought her out into the like basically. Wonder Woman was always kind of the third wheel of the Trinity for so long.
Yeah.
But after the movie, she is now an equal member of that Trinity.
I would say that's when she really became an A-list character. What do you think, Taladia, in terms of like what Zack brought to like the overall, like, let's start with the Justice League.
Well, he brought the Justice League characters to their A game. So Aquaman, prime example, he was a D-list character, made him an A-list character, right? And
he was aided by Jeff Johns' run during that time period, but in terms of movies, in terms of how the general audience saw him, yes, 100%.
And furthermore, look at it, Cyborg, another person. Oh, yeah. You got to include Cyborg, because he was a D-list, C or D-list character, and he became
I put him on the C-list because of Teen Titans.
C-list more, I was about to say. He was a D-list entails that no one knows about him. People knew but so, you also had you had the Teen Titans cartoon show. But I will say,
and not only that, but Teen Titans in the 80s was literally one of the top books. So I think C-listers, like C+ is probably where I put Cyborg.
No, but for the general audience,
for the
I am
non-comic book reading audience. But no, he means for the non-comic book reading audience. But it's like he added a certain amount of pathos to Cyborg. Like again, like Nerdette, she is not a fan of Zack Snyder, but she says I loved what he did with Cyborg.
To be fair, we really only saw what he really intended until the actual cut of Justice League came out.
Yeah, I know. The other one, it's like, and we saw when they tried to make Cyborg the classic Cyborg, we got that version of the movie.
Did you notice in the cut that does not exist, in like one of the final shots, they show Cyborg being reconfigured into his Teen Titans version?
Yeah, I know, and I'm like, god dang it. And here's the thing, it looked too chrome and like sheer. It looked horrible. But go on, Claudia.
But what also Zack did well was making these characters in connection to some of the comics books that people probably never read.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, The Dark Knight Returns.
I mean, okay. I gotta push back there, Claudia. When you say never read and then Dark Knight Returns, that's
I'm gonna agree with Nick on this.
Dark Knight Returns is one of the quintessential Batman stories. Like if there's like a top 4, like a Mount Rushmore of Batman stories, Dark Knight Returns is probably
gonna
one
be
or two.
On there. I gotta agree with Nick on this.
I mean, not only that, but like for example, Man of Steel, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, it's kind of similar to Superman, like one of the Superman comics for the New 52.
Yeah,
right?
and the John Byrne run, but I mean, in terms of
they literally gave him the New 52 suit, so.
Well, not exactly.
Not entirely.
It didn't have the collar, but he didn't have the trunks. This will prove to me that you cannot have the trunks and it looked cool. And it looked better. But I push back because here's the thing: when the Dark Knight Returns came out, that was being written up in like Rolling Stones. That's the thing.
Yeah, you got to remember, Dark Knight Returns is basically the era where comic books were starting to get taken seriously as literature.
I mean, you also had Watchmen during that. Speaking of Zack Snyder, Watchmen.
Yeah, I mean, Zack Snyder made Watchmen popular too.
More popular because and here's the thing: I hear from a lot of like hardcore DC fans that are fans of Zack that say that his handling of Watchmen is what proved to them that he could do DC movies, because Watchmen has historically been considered a difficult book to adapt, and he did it practically flawlessly.
It was literally considered unfilmable.
Yeah, it was considered unfilmable. Yeah. Then Zack was like, hold my beer. I'm going to film it. Get my iPhone.
Get my iPhone.
Oh my God. Like, I really wish Apple would do that. Like, just give Zack Snyder an iPhone 15 and like $50,000. Like, hey, could you
film the Snyderverse on an iPhone?
No, just like have him make like a short film on an iPhone. It would look really like. Can you imagine if Apple actually did that?
But so the other thing I think Zack brought to DC from a visual perspective, this was the first time that I've seen a director since maybe Nolan. I'll give it to Nolan, that the shots looked exactly like comic book panels. Like the whole shot of Superman as he's floating in space, healing from the sun. He opens his eyes and then it's like all red. I'm like, yeah, that is like 100. That's a comic panel right there.
Superman did it better than the boys.
Yes, exactly.
The whole red eyes laser thing. I'm sorry.
That's just annoying. That's become too tropey, I think. But it's like even with and Zack's been doing this forever with like 300. He literally recreated the book in movie form. But the other one I want to talk, the character I want to specifically talk about, let's talk about Batman, because that was another one of the controversial like characterizations that Zack did, even though when you actually think about it, besides the Martha scene, that was one of the most comic accurate versions of Batman. Like,
well, I would say, here's the thing. Even the people who didn't like BVS, they all admitted, like the ones who actually saw it, actually liked his portrayal of Batman. And also, my favorite, I do like the warehouse fight because it is an Arkham fight. It is straight out.
It is straight up Arkham City.
Straight up Arkham, yeah.
I don't know if they copied any like the moves, but just the way it plays out is an Arkham fight.
Though the fluidity of the fight, and that scene is where I really latched on to Ben Affleck as my Batman and Zack Snyder as my Batman director, because here's the thing about the Nolan fight scenes. They were a little stiff, in my opinion, where you see with like in the Affleck warehouse fight, it's a perfect example. He's more fluid. He's moving around. He's like actually like doing more moves.
The thing with the Nolan movies is they had a strict adherence to reality, like how people actually fight, how people actually move, versus the Snyder stuff is more of a hyper reality, where like we're trying to keep things grounded. But hey, I don't mind if a grappling hook can somehow move a box all the way across the room. I mean, yeah, physics doesn't work like that, but who cares? It looks cool.
Who cares? It looks cool. And no, he didn't just move it across the room, Nick. He whipped a dude in the face with it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, and here's the thing about Ben Affleck. The part where everyone was like, okay, you know what, this dude is Batman, is when we first see, is when he goes into the Batcave. The thing opens and we see a suit, and he's like, he's just staring. He had the Batman stare, and I'm like, because he can't, because, and even by the way, guess whose endorsement he had as the best Batman?
Kevin Conroy.
Exactly, because Conroy summed it up perfectly. He granted, I did disagree with Conroy's opinions on the Wonder Woman characters being one note, but that's besides the point. But when he was talking about Ben Affleck's Batman, he said the thing about Ben Affleck is like he got the balance of Bruce Wayne and Batman well, because we've had great Bruce Waynes but bad Batmans and vice versa. Affleck was the first that got it right.
Yeah, I think that like one of the problems with the Nolan verse is like that, like they literally say it at the end of Batman Begins. Bruce Wayne is his mask, whereas in the Snyderverse, Bruce Wayne and Batman are two. Well, they're the same, but they're also two different characters. You know, they like they're both actual characters, whereas Batman is the character in the Nolan verse, and Bruce Wayne is the facade.
Yeah, and by the way, here's the other thing that really sold me on this Batman. They gave him a voice changer instead of a throat cancer voice. And the thing about that, I know that, and we just peeked the mic, but I know that some people, I know that's a minor detail, but the thing about it, and by the way, I told that to someone, and then they said, I think it was like Max Priestley. He was like, you would think that Nolan would have put that in his movie first because he's going for a more grounded Batman. But I mean,
well, his Batman Begins Batman voice was fine.
That was fine.
It was basically like, imagine if Batman just smoked like 5 packs a day for 5 years, kind of thing. But by the time it got to like Dark Knight, it just like it's so bad. Like it's like he had marbles in his mouth. It was so bad it got memed on it instantly.
Fun fact: that voice from Begins is how Christian Bale landed the role as Batman, because he was the only person that auditioned that did that voice, and they were like, "That's a genius idea. Have them have 2 separate voices."
Also, like the other thing, I like. Okay, if we're ragging on Nolan, the problem I have with Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne is it's just Patrick Bateman just dialed back a few notches. That's all it is. He's just basically playing. It's literally he's just playing Patrick Bateman, just not as crazy. Also, I love how in American Psycho, Christian Bale beats up the Joker.
Yeah. So Taladia, your opinions on Zack's Batman?
Zack's Batman, at least he got it from the comic, where the voice changer thing, modulator. Like we never had that before in any of the movies or film or animation before.
I think one of the animated series dabbled in it, but it didn't go it didn't go as into it as Snyder did.
No, it didn't.
But so that's like the core Justice League. The thing about the Flash is that I can see why some people don't dig his Flash, because Barry acts is like a completely different characterization of Barry Allen in the Snyderverse than he is in the comics. He's more like Wally West. But here's the thing. I don't attribute that much to Snyder. I attribute that more toward General DC, because at the time they were trying to like make Barry more like Wally.
Also Ezra is just not right for the role. Like the thing that I always point to is, look at when Ezra was on Crisis on Infinite Earth, when he had that scene with Grant Gustin. Grant Gustin is literally acting in circles around him. Like it is, oh my god, Grant Gustin is like 10 times a better actor.
But if you notice, in the Snyder cut, at least he was a little more tolerable, because if you notice in the Whedon cut, he was more like an annoying kid.
Yes.
Even in the Snyder cut, he's toned down, he's bearable, but only just.
Okay, I can see that. But
Whedon did turn him into an autistic spaz, and please give me a why did you say that name?
Yeah, I have to. And where's that clip? I need to have a better filing system.
Why did you say that name?
Now, the other thing, and I noticed this after watching the Snyder cut for the 5th time at the time. But,
5th time.
Yeah, I know. I was such an amateur back then. The thing about it is,
let me know when you hit triple digits.
Oh, I soon will. The first live stream, by the way, for Comics League was a live watch through of the Snyder cut, and someone came on saying that I'd watched it over 200 times.
You will.
You will, yes. Will. But the thing about Snyder, this is applying more to the general Justice League. He made them feel like gods, and that's the thing. He made them feel like the Justice League instead of like the Avengers, but with a Justice League skin, because that's what that version of the movie felt like. With the Snyder cut, because here's one of the differences between Marvel and DC. DC are the gods amongst men. They're essentially the closest that comics get to having a Greek pantheon.
And that's why Batman is such an interesting character.
Yes,
like that's why, because he is the god among men. Yet, like it's like everyone fears Batman. The one person without. Like, and the thing is, and this is what the genius of DC throughout the decades is, they always love to mock, like every time they mock Batman, and they do this in Justice League, you don't have powers. And he shows them why.
What are your superpowers again? I'm rich. I love that.
I love that is a great line. That is a great line.
But again, and that's my thing, they felt like gods. It's like, even when in the Snyder cut, when Superman shows up and beats the crap out of Steppenwolf, if you notice, when he's punching Steppenwolf, shockwaves are coming out. Like, when was the last time you saw in a superhero movie they actually like visualize shockwaves coming out?
Yeah, that's how big it is. Like yeah, one-on-one. Honestly, I feel like if it was actually a one-on-one, Wonder Woman might have been able to take down Steppenwolf, but just it would have been close. But Superman is a cakewalk for him. I guess you could say he's not impressed.
Not impressed.
Why
do I feel like as soon as I started leading up to it, you knew exactly?
Yeah, in fact, as soon as I was talking about that scene, I was going toward that. Let's talk about that. The way he set up that scene. The music is building toward like it's exactly like a comic book. It looks like, oh my gosh, Cyborg's gonna get killed by Steppenwolf, because I thought that's what was gonna happen, or like he was gonna get injured, like in that version of the movie. But no, the axe comes down. You see Superman just super speed down. The axe hits his shoulder, and the clang you hear when it hits it, because he's a Man of Steel, it makes sense. That clang makes it all the more satisfying. And then just that, when people say that Zack Superman never smiles, this is how I know they never watched the movie, because he's smiling right there. He's like, not impressed. And he he like freezes the axe, but as opposed to the other version of the movie where he was like, no, he was like, yeah, just with the attitude, he was like,
it was like blowing out a candle.
Yeah, he was like, okay, because and that's the thing, what that scene showed, as opposed to the previous entrance of Superman. This one showed how powerful he is because he shows up and he's like, okay, this is a cakewalk again. And that's the genius of the Snyder Cut, because the entire movie, this is building up to the Apocalyptians never invaded because they were afraid of Superman. And they even say this. I got into an argument with Nerdette on her show about this because she thought it was, she was like, Jared, you can't Jared, that's you interpreting what the movie said. I'm like, no, they literally said it. But anyway.
I mean, also the other thing, it's like, they never had a reason to invade Earth, but now that they know anti-life is literally written onto the crust of Earth.
That too. But
now he has every reason to use the old ways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we'll end on that. But this entire movie is building toward the Apocalyptians being afraid of Kryptonians. The minute Superman actually shows up, yeah, that's why. I can see why. But anyways, so Taladia, I'm gonna ask you guys this. What were your reactions to that scene alone? Taladia, as a Superman fan, particularly, when that not impressed scene happens, come on.
I was just like, this is better than the cut that never shall be mentioned ever again.
Oh, you're telling me, Taladia, you don't like it when Superman showed up with his CGI lip? I believe in truth, but I'm also a big fan of justice.
Yes, Jared, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
But, I'll say, though, that when it comes down to Zack Snyder knows what he's doing, and he had a plan, and that plan was inevitably was setting up Darkseid.
Not only that, and by the way, I still say that plan would play out. Remember when it came out that he was going to build to an actual accurate Flashpoint movie that would have revealed you know how we're arguing that like Zack took like creative liberties with some of these characters? He was going to explain that is the Reverse Flash just screwing with Barry. That's why
Barry.
Exactly. Literally exactly why. And when everyone hears that, they're like, oh, you know what? That actually sounds cool. I'm like, then you shouldn't have complained.
Did Zack ever say who he wanted to cast as a Reverse Flash?
No, but I want it to be Anthony Starr.
I mean, yeah, like just oh my god, yeah.
There's a scene in The Boys. It's one of I think it's the most recent season when Homelander is talking to himself in the mirror, and I'm like, that is Reverse Flash. I could 100%. It's like I visualized him in the suit and everything. I was like, yep, that's it.
I mean, also they did a like scene like that in Spider-Man too, but yeah.
Yeah, but and the other thing is that guess what? All of the movies, even the Flash movie that was originally planned, the one with Cyborg, they were going to tease Reverse Flash and then constantly build him up, even in other people's movies, kind of like so. In a way, Reverse Flash is the Thanos of the Snyderverse.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that. That's cool. Plus, here's the thing: when you think about it, I could buy him being a Thanos level threat.
Well, here's the thing, DC Comics, like, I feel like even to this day, they've never really gone into just how OP speedsters can be.
Yeah, they never have.
They've touched upon it, they flirted with it, but like, the Reverse Flash just shows how scary an evil Barry could be.
I mean, they kind of touched on a little bit in an episode of Justice League that we're building toward. It's like, it's one of the most iconic Flash scenes. I think you know the scene I'm talking about, Nick. Inevitably, you would have watched it. So they have a Flash scene in that where they basically make Flash like a badass and all that stuff. So they've dabbled with it, but they've never gone full in. And I feel like they would have like 100% invested. But Taladia, you were going to add something?
No, what I can say is, WB, you messed up. So,
okay, you know what? Actually,
yeah, second Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
You will continue. And by the way, in reference to a certain movie director,
he fills out his clothes like lentils fill out a sandwich bag.
I'm so glad I went back to that interview for that. I love that. But so that's I think a good place to leave it. And
Yeah.
let us know below your thoughts on like the Snyder effect of DC. If you enjoyed his takes, if you didn't, still comment, be civil about it, and I'll respond to you and we'll have a nice conversation about it. But again, be civil. I shouldn't have to say that, but unfortunately, I have to. And remember, become a member. If you become a member, you get to join us on one live stream a month for our members only live stream. It's really fun. We like pal around and talk about what books we're reading and such. You get my indie reviews every week, and then you get a once a month you get a write-up on all the write-up review of all the comic books I read in a month.
And also, if you become a member of Comics League, you also get early access to videos that Jared does.
Yeah, like all my indie reviews, and I'm considering adding on another one to the early ones. Just right now I'm starting with indie because starting with one show is easy for me to manage right now. But so that's that. In terms of Comics League, I'll start with Comics League and then I'll go to the boys. This Super Wonder Legacy this week, Britt and I are examining the DC Superpower documentary and going into deep on what this means for like Superman, Wonder Woman, and the new 52. In terms of Indie Wednesday, still like if we're figuring that one out. In terms of movie night this week, we are talking about Batman Hush. And then, oh, by the way, speaking of Snyder, I'm going to announce this right now. December is going to be the Snyder holiday, the Snyder, if you will. Snyder Miss, that's better. We will be talking about all of Zack Snyder's movies that we haven't covered. There's one that we are going to cover for like the third time, but there's a reason for that. So we're going to cover Dawn of the Dead, Army of the Dead, and Army of Thieves, 2 and 1. We're doing it that way because Army of Thieves goes with Army of the Dead, so it just it's to cover both. And then, of course, for the second, actually, first it's going to be the Legend of the Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole. Second's going to be Dawn of the Dead. Third's going to be Army of Dead and Army of Thieves. And then fourth is going to be Rebel Moon.
Are we doing a watch along for that?
Yes, we will be doing a live watch along for Rebel Moon, 100%. We will be doing that. We'll have some guests. We'll be chatting and talking about how awesome this movie is, because inevitably we're going to be talking about how awesome that movie is. And yeah, so that's Comics League. So I'll start with Taladia. What have you got coming around the channel, and where can one find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at TaladiaPlays_, and on YouTube at TaladiaPlays. I have got some content planned for maybe this weekend for Spider-Man 2. We're going to be live streaming that possibly this weekend. Also next week, it's myself and Jared will be doing the Super Wonder stuff. And this time we're going to be talking about issue 11, because last night was kind of an annual thing. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to talk about issue 11 with Jared. And also, oh, that's right, I'm also going to be joining Nick on his channel, doing the Batman Arkham stuff. And I might be covering some Suicide Squad news, because there has been some stuff for Suicide Squad.
And there's been more, by the way. If you saw, they released a look at the Steelbook case for the game, which makes me think they're about to announce a collector's edition.
Oh boy!
In which case, I'm getting that. I missed the Gotham Knights one. I ain't missing this one.
Okay, so that's what I've got coming up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on all our channels, and hit that like button on UTC's podcast. And if you're watching this, make sure you hit that follow button on the Spotify. And
Mr. Phoenix, where can one find you, and what have you got coming out on the channel?
All righty then. All you
nice.
Wonderful people. Tomorrow, we are doing the Friday Night Frenzy. This is Jared's on week, so we'll be having a packed house. We'll be talking about, is the pendulum swinging in a different direction this time? And we'll have Max Priestley on as a
Max.
Yeah, so it should get a little bit mad in there, and it'll be a good stream. And then on Saturday, we'll be continuing our descent into Arkham, and we'll be wondering, can we fix Poison Ivy?
Yeah, so on that note, everyone, again, like, comment, subscribe. I'll have all of their information, obviously, in the description below. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, it'll also be there, so you guys, the links, so you guys can follow that at your own leisure. And just keep reading comics. Stay heroic, everyone. Bye-bye.